Last time, we created supporting questions using this picture to help us answer the compelling question. A reminder, our compelling question is, how can one person help to change the world? So the next thing we need to do is find resources. We use our supporting questions and we look at these questions and then we ask ourselves, what kinds of tools or resources would we need in order to answer these questions? It could be things like books, looking up information on a website, watching a video, looking at more pictures, reading a letter, lots of different things we could use. Now, do you think it would be helpful to have some information that comes directly from that person in the picture? Or do you think it would be easiest to get information from people who knew that man? Well, what if we could get a bunch of information from that gentleman right in the picture? If we could, that'd be something called a primary source. A primary source is something that was created at the time of an event or by someone who was at the event. So in this case, with our picture, a primary source would be anything that that gentleman created, so maybe what he's writing down. It can also be the picture itself. Someone had to be standing right next to him taking a picture at that moment. So the picture can be a primary source. We also have another type of source called secondary sources. And a secondary source is something that was created after an event occurred or by someone who wasn't there. So, if there was a textbook written about this person in the picture, that could be a secondary source. It would have been written after him and by someone who wasn't there. Now, just to give you a few more examples, a primary source, again, is something created at the time of an event or by someone who was there. So we could have pictures, interviews, diaries or journals, letters, speeches, news articles right from around that time period, or autobiographies, which means a book that is about someone written by that same person. A secondary source, remember, was something created after an event or by someone who wasn't there. So we can have biographies, which is when someone writes about somebody else. We could have books or news articles that are written a long time after the event. And depending how long ago the event happened, that changes the amount of time. But a good rule of thumb is about 2 years will need to have passed on an event if it happened within the last 25 years, or 5 years or more if it happened longer ago than that. So then the next thing you are going to do is you're going to work on the primary or secondary worksheet. And on this worksheet, you will have about 8 to 10 examples, and you'll need to figure out which ones are primary sources and which ones are secondary sources.